Okay, we have a lot of injuries to cover this week, so let's go ahead and get right into it with possibly the biggest name on the injury list, Maurice Jones-Drew. Now, he was limited in practice this week, but he's listed as probable for this week's game against the Eagles. Now, pure and simple, he's going to start. Hands down, no questions asked. Because this is the thing. Maurice Jones-Drew is the Jaguars' only star. Yeah, Mike Sims-Walker and Kirk Morrison are pretty good, but Maurice Jones-Drew is their one star, and if they take the field without them, they're going to pay. And I just don't think that the Jags can risk doing that. So, Maurice Jones-Drew will play. Then we come to another high-profile running back with the same problem. Steven Jackson is listed as probable with a knee injury. But here's the thing. He's the Rams' only star. Yes, they do have James Laurinaitis and O.J. Atagwe, but like I said, Jackson is their big star. They're not going to take the field without him, unless he's like on IR or something. So, definitely, I'd start Steven Jackson. Another big one that's on the injury list is Andre Johnson, who's been listed as questionable with an ankle problem. But Coach Gary Kubiak said that he will play on Sunday, and I am going to agree with him. He played with the same ankle injury towards the end of last week's game. So I don't see why it would be a problem again this week unless he re-aggravated it or something, which would be a totally different story. But for right now, I believe that Andre Johnson will start. But even if he does, the Texans will have some pretty good offensive output from their other two big wide receivers, Kevin Walter and Jacoby Jones. Next up is Joseph Adai, running back for the Colts. And he's been listed as probable with a knee injury, but he's probably going to start too. A lot of these injuries I'm noticing are probable knee injuries. So I don't think that Joseph is going to have that much of a problem with this. He's going to get over it, and he'll be ready to play next Sunday, or this Sunday against the Broncos. And while we're talking about the Colts, let's mention wide receiver Pierre Garçon, who's been listed as questionable with a hamstring problem. Now, this news wouldn't be that big except for one of their other wide receivers, Anthony Gonzalez, has also gone down with an injury, and he's going to be out for a lot longer. So, if he goes down, if Garçon goes down and Gonzalez is already down, then expect Austin Collie to be really, really interesting. But for the time being, he's listed as questionable. I would wait personally until game time, but at the moment, I believe he won't play. Another high-profile running back with an injury would be Falcons running back Michael the Burner Turner, who's been listed as probable for this Sunday versus the Saints. Now, I think that he'll play, but judging by what we saw from Jason Snelling last week, I think that the carries ratio might shift a little bit more towards Snelling. Now, don't get me wrong, Turner is still going to get the majority of the carries, but I expect to see Snelling to get a few more carries than he has as of late, seeing as how Jarius Norwood, their other running back, has also gone down with an injury. So, Turner is going to start, but he might not get as much production as you're used to getting out of him. The biggest injury to come out of today was Noshawn Moreno has been listed as out for this Sunday versus the Colts. Not questionable, not doubtful, out, period. Don't start him, put him on your bench right now, and go pick up Lawrence Maroney. He just got way more interesting. Correll Buckhalter is probably going to get about the same as he normally gets. Lawrence Maroney, I think, for the time being, now, it's going to be his first start, he's going to get the majority of the carries for the Broncos. Then we have Carolina Panthers wide receiver Steve Smith, who's been listed as probable with a thigh injury. He's going to play, but I would not recommend starting Steve Smith. The Panthers are in the middle of a transition period right now, switching from Matt Moore to Jimmy Clausen. Now, Clausen seems like a pro-ready quarterback, but I'm still not 100% certain whether or not the transition for Steve Smith is going to go well, because despite Matt Moore's faults, he was connecting with Steve Smith with regularity, getting a touchdown in each of the first two games, despite most of Matt Moore's problems. So, I'd say he's going to start, but hold off on Steve Smith until we know for certain that he has meshed well with Clausen. Then we have San Diego running back Ryan Matthews, who's been listed as doubtful with an ankle injury. Now, this one, I'd say he's not starting, and by that same token, you need to pick up Mike Tolbert. He's going to make a big name for himself this week. He's 5'9", 243. Like I said in my last video, he's kind of a bulky dude, but he's definitely going to be somebody you're going to want to have on your roster. I've already picked him up in 2 of my leagues. Pick him up now. But as for Ryan Matthews, doubt he's going to play, and even if he does, he's not going to have a full workload. Tolbert will probably have most of the carries until Matthews comes back, and even then, Tolbert will probably get the goal line work from now on. Then we have Beanie Wells, who's expected to make his first game of the season this Sunday, but for the moment he's been listed as questionable with a knee injury. So I'm not believing the hype. I don't think that he's going to make it, and even if he does, I think that Tim Hightower has settled himself into the starting role for the moment. So I would say hold off on Beanie Wells for at least one more week. Another guy trying to make his first game of the season is Raiders running back Michael Bush, who's finally been listed as probable with a thumb injury for this week's game against the Cards. Now, last week I had him on my roster and he didn't show up at all. He didn't even take the field. So I kind of got burned there. I still won my league, but still that was kind of a boneheaded move. This week he's going to play and he's going to have a good game against the Cards. But the problem is he's splitting time with Darren McFadden, who's right now the league's 3rd leading rusher. So it might be hard for him to find some carries. So I'd say hold off on your enthusiasm for the moment. And the last person we're going to talk about is Browns running back Jerome Harrison, who's been listed as questionable with a thigh injury. Now, for some reason, the Browns seem to have less faith in Jerome Harrison than they used to. Possibly because he gave up a fumble against the Chiefs. I don't know. But for right now, it looks like the Browns are leaning more towards Peyton Hillis, which I don't understand because personally I'm a big Jerome Harrison fan and I believe that he should be getting more touches, period. I mean, he's their biggest threat, other than possibly, maybe you can make a case for Joshua Cribbs, but he's clearly a bigger threat than Peyton Hillis. So I'd say he's going to play, but he's not going to get the majority of the carries. I think that Hillis will get the most there. So that's just about it. As 12 players for your fantasy team, you may have 1 or 2 of them on your team. So in that case, you're welcome. See you later.